There we go.
My goal is to become the most prolific, least watched producer of videos on YouTube.
I watched one of yours just to get like an idea of the class.
Was it the best thing you've ever seen?
It is alright.
Which video?
It was like what was it, September 18th? No, that's September.
No, it was
August
one of
18th.
the class lectures.
Yeah, it was like one of the first ones for the last 8 weeks. Where you were just going over like class expectations.
Okay.
Which I guess is a good place to start.
All right, so this should be a really crappy marker. It does not disappoint. Whatever's in the syllabus is correct. I was gonna write down the phone number, but I always blank at that point because I call my office so irregularly. I think it's 757-3376, but whatever's in the syllabus is correct. I'm Dr. George Fox, whatever you call me. The one thing I don't want you to call me is Mr. Fox, that's my brother. So after that, most people just have my attention and start talking to me, but I don't care, just keep it clean. My office, yeah, Tech 325, that's probably incredibly helpful because everybody knows every room here. But just in case you are not familiar with the rooms, if you walk down the hall, there's gonna be a little bit of a hallway just to the right past the next classroom, and my office is there. If you go straight ahead, you'll get to a mechanical room, or so mine's the one that's actually an office. And cleverly, I believe my name is right outside it. And has anyone attempted to do the course entry assignment yet?
I think when I checked, it wasn't even available.
It should have been available at 12:30 this morning.
Oh.
Did you check it after that?
Yeah, I must have not seen it, but I believe you that it's there.
Yeah. You found it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it does exist at least for one person.
Yeah.
In order to open up the course, you have to do at least one attempt at that in order for things to suddenly magically appear. So you want to hit that early. The other side of it is you definitely have to do it by Thursday, end of Thursday. That is the mandate from above. But if you can at least do a first attempt today, that would make life simpler. We will be doing a lab today. It doesn't take the full 3 hours, so for that, we're gonna walk down the hallway to the physics room. That way I'm just not hauling equipment every time we're doing a lab. If you know in advance that we're gonna do a lab, I do expect you to have it printed out. Not expecting it today, especially since I didn't make it available until some point this morning, somewhere around 10, I think. So I'll print it out for today and hand you copies of it. I am assuming, well, actually, who has watched the lab orientation videos?
Watch part of it.
All right, so one in a part. Okay. I'm gonna hit just the highlights. You still need to go back and watch them. I'm not gonna hit everything in there. That's what I'm looking for. And I do tend to record the classes. And I will post them under the appropriate chapter. So, just so you know. There we go, that's what we're gonna hit. As well as under supplemental materials, you have lectures from the past. All right, so with labs, there are a couple of things that just, I believe are special to physics, and it could just be me. So group name. You're gonna break up into groups. I tend not to get involved in what groups you're gonna be in terms of the labs, unless there's an uneven amount. If I've got a group of 5 and a group of 3, I might ask someone from the group of 5 to move over. If all I get is just sort of blank looks because nobody wants to do it, I might then specifically say, hey, how about you move over? But I tend to let you break up into your own groups. These are not set groups. You can be in a different group every week if you wish. And whatever group name you come up with is not necessarily the name that you're gonna stick for the entire time. You can change the name every single week too. But everyone in the same lab group for that particular lab has the exact same group name. Exact same. Punctuation for punctuation, strange symbol for strange symbol, letter for letter, space for space, character for character. They are identical. I am not relying on my memory to go, let's see, that week, these 4 people were working together, and then that week, there was a different group of 4. The way I keep track of who's in which group is by the group name. Please make sure you've decided upon the group name before you break up today. What I expect to be the same for everybody in the group is the data. Anything measured directly in the lab should be identical for everybody in the group. Calculations are not necessarily going to be the same depending on how people round them. I will say for the first lab, typically this is the lab where the only time I care about significant figures is the first lab. I will tell you right now, I'm going to abandon that this semester and see how it goes. I'm not worried about significant figures. Matter of fact, in one of the videos, you will hear me say, I hate significant figures.
Yes.
I figure it's good that you've at least done it at least once. However, I've come to the conclusion that I'm not worried about that right now. If you want to go with significant figures, go for it. It's more of a chemistry thing than a physics thing anyway, so it'll show me your true colors. All right, so the data, anything measured directly in the lab should be the same for everybody in the group. Oftentimes there'll be a lot of labs where I want a precision of measurement, so let's say find the mass, plus or minus 0.0001 kilograms. I'm expecting the mass that you record is out to 4 decimal places when it's in kilograms. If it turns out to be 3.5 exactly kilograms, I do expect the extra zeros in there, because if you just do 3.5, that says you rounded to the nearest 10th of a kilogram, and that says you rounded off to the nearest 10,000th of a kilogram. They do not mean the same thing. This is, it was somewhere from 3.45 to 3.55, and this one is, you're somewhere from 3.4995 to 3.5005. Very different what you're trying to communicate. In today's lab, how many of you used the vernier caliper before?
Could you repeat that?
How many of you used a vernier caliper? Still the same one, all right. Micrometer?
I think I know what you're talking
If
about.
I see it, I'll know.
Pardon?
If I see it, I'll know.
Okay. We'll be using those today. So I'm gonna do a train the trainers where I'll take, once you break it up into groups, I'll take one person from each group. We'll go over the vernier caliper. Then I'll send them back and bring in somebody else from each group to go over the micrometer. And that doesn't mean that's the last time you hear of it. There's some videos and links for that. as well as you can just come up and ask me, or we have a couple of people who've done the micrometer and one person who's worked with the vernier caliper before. Any questions before I do a slight tangent, and then we'll do a second tangent?
Do you have a pencil I could use?
Pardon?
Do you have a pencil I could use?
I probably do.
Thank you.
What is your name, by the way?
Hector, nice to meet you.
Hector?
Yeah, Hector here. Sorry I'm late. I had to get breakfast.
I figured the first day, people are trying to find the place or haven't taken into account what traffic's gonna be like. Or traveling 2 hours.
2 hours.
How far is it?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a half. My first year here, I commuted back and forth from Charlotte.
Oh,
And
really?
that was, you get used to it, you get to a rhythm. First third of the trip, I should be here, next third.
I live in Boone, or that's where I grew up, and
Okay.
used to the 3-hour drive, so it's not too bad.
Okay.
That's crazy.
All right. Any other questions? All right, one other thing, I ran into an issue last year with the grading system. I don't want to go into the brutal detail right now. If you have questions, I'll be glad to do the brutal detail with you one-on-one or one-on-two. But the grade that gets posted into Blackboard is on the 4.0 scale. So if you get a 4, it's an A, you get a 2, that's a C, and so forth. Pluses are 0.3 and minuses, you subtract 0.3. So a 2.7 is a B minus, a 3.3 is a B plus. I believe Blackboard sometimes will color code, and what Blackboard sees is that if I put a 2 in there out of 4, it goes, you got a 50%, and it's gonna flag it as yellow or red or something like that, like something horrible has just happened. No, I have no control over the color coding in your Blackboard system. I've tried. Unless something has changed, I still don't have control over it. So the color coding, what really matters is the grades on my spreadsheet that I keep on my laptop, which should match what's in Blackboard, but the Blackboard grades are not as important as what's on my personal spreadsheet. And I think on that note, any more questions before I do my second tangent? To find out what you know.